Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down in towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
To the back end of Phil Jocelyn, so there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new beginning for the Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Championship. Yes, it's Season 3, but it's a new era for these guys. Of course, previously using the Dallara Formula 3, and now we move ourselves into one of the newest additions on the iRacing platform, and that is, of course, the Japanese spectacle of motorsport in the form of the Super Formula single-seater machines. My name is Zach Sweeney, Dean Biggles, alongside me in the commentary booth for a new season of racing action. You're watching along on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, and we are absolutely stoked to be bringing you the action. Round number 1 here from the Twin Ring Motegi, the home ground, of course, of these amazing cars. So much prospect coming into today. 45 minutes of racing action and a lot of fun along the way, Dean.
Oh, it should be. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it tonight. I'm about to lose control. And we should be not all losing control, of course, because fantastic new machines. A lot to learn and a lot to explain as we go into the Super Formula Championship there, Zach. So I think yourself, with your expertise, my friend, will be able to probably explain how these machines work, and more importantly as well, a key factor, no DRS, but a little thing called push to pass.
Yes, Biggles was very happy to hear this. Of course, they have a push to pass function, but it's essentially just a push to go quicker button. It doesn't necessarily have to exclusively be used in the form of pushing to pass. What it does is you press the button and it gives you extra power for as long as you hold that button down, essentially. And what it does is it sends more fuel into...
Might have lost you there for a second.
which turns the wheels a little bit quicker,
Yep.
which then, of course, makes the car go faster as well. So more fuel, more bang, more power, and, well, potentially an overtake as well. However, the caveat to that is you can't just press it and then 5 seconds later decide, you know what, I want more power again. You've got to be very, very careful with how you use it. Not only do you only have 200 seconds of use during the race, so you can't just hold it down for the entirety of the race, but you also have 100-second, essentially a lap and a bit cooldown before you can then use it again. So there is a lot of compromise you have to make with using that push to pass, but it is a vital tool that these guys are going to have to use. Of course, with that as well, these Super Formula are new to the iRacing scene. Not a lot of experience, these drivers with these cars. This is our first time commentating on them, so obviously it's a new experience for us in the commentary booth, but also these drivers, it's going to be a big adaptation from the Formula 3, a little bit more power, a bit more downforce than what we saw over the course of the last 2 seasons that these guys have been taking to the track for the Sim Racing for Simpletons. So it is going to be a bit of a learning curve for everyone, and that could open the door for some excitement.
I'm hoping it'll open the door for the excitement, and Daniel will be hoping the door for his family. Once again, Dan Whitfield is back. Mr. Daniel, the man in driving, essentially what reminds me of a Braun GP livery back in the day, isn't it? But he is certainly back. Some of the Top Guns, of course, and our previous drivers in the previous rounds are back. Going to be interesting to see how they handle these different beasts. A little bit more pace, my friend, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll be better controlling these beasts.
Yes, sometimes. Of course, speaking of skills and speed as such, what we have done for this season, because of championship, what they've done is introduced a driver classification system. We've got now the intermediate roster, we've got the advanced roster. So it all depends sort of on your iRating and the skills that you've demonstrated as such, which will put you into these 2 different categories. They'll all be on the same track together. There won't be any sort of advanced starts and intermediate starts. Nah, everyone's going to qualify the same. Everyone's going to start on the same grid. Everyone's going to be on track together. In fact, they're not even going to score points based on their division finish. They are going to score points on the overall. So if you finish first in the intermediates, but you finish 5th on track, you'll score points for 5th, not first, if you sort of get what I'm trying to say here. So that's the way it will work. Everyone's still together, everyone's still fine, but what it does allow is that maybe the drivers that are a little bit slower, don't have as much experience in single-seater racing, and just want to get out here and have some fun and compete, they still can do so. They can still fight for top 10s, top 5s, podiums, wins, without having to worry about the likes of David Holland, Alex Rivera, Mackenzie Ruin, etc., just dominating, taking those top spots away, leaving you to fight for the scraps. What it does is open up a door, and we now have 2 race winners, 6 podium sitters, and 10 people that can finish inside the top 5, which really does open the door for a lot more people to get something out of their sim racing. And of course, everyone wants that. And what it does do is, for you guys at home, you get to potentially watch 2 fights for the lead. You get to potentially watch 6 fights for the podium, all these different things. So it all adds to the spectacle for everyone involved, and just means that everyone can have a nice, happy time. But yeah, we have effectively got 3 championships. We've got the advanced, the intermediate, and the overall. So we could well potentially see an intermediate win the overall championship. That would definitely be something. But a long season ahead, and it all starts here at probably the home ground, of course, of these cars. The Twin Ring Motegi. It's fast, it's twisty, it's demanding, and, well, should make for a good race.
It should, and exactly as you mentioned. So we're up for a new season, a new chapter in the story here for the Sim Racing for Simpletons, and we do have about 17 or so gladiators ready to take the challenge of this new circuit that I'm not that familiar with there, Zachary, but I know in your history there, and a very short history, of course, but a very experienced history, a lap guide around here, any particular things to look out for?
Well, yeah, it's not a track that I've driven before, but it's a track that I'm sure Alex Rivera definitely has. He is a multiple-time race winner, and he's going to talk us through an entire lap here of the twin ring Motegi. Into turns 1 and 2, double apex right-hander. So what you're trying to do is get it in tight, run it wide, get a cutback for that second apex that leads you onto this back straight towards turn 3 and 4. Again, you're braking so late, you can see it's a third gear corner, so still carrying as much speed as you can, similar to turns 1 and 2, but this time just going left as opposed to right. Trying to keep the minimum speed up, of course, in these Super Formula machines. Late on the brakes, you can see braking just after the 50 board coming into turn number 5, down to second gear, and now just accelerating the car. Probably a safety lift, maybe completely flat out through that right-hand kink, not entirely sure on these Super Formula machines, but onto the brakes for this uphill left, quickly sweeps into a fast right. Not really going to be seeing much overtaking there, but a fun corner nonetheless to nail when you get it right. Once again, straight back onto the anchors for a complete 180, a slight uphill inclination towards the next corner, of course the back end of the circuit here at turn 10. Probably one of the most important corners to get right, and you can see that Alex Rivera sending it in deep, getting the up and under, and driving the car, of course, through the old pit straight before you send yourself on a deep plunge down the hill to one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit. Expect a lot of action coming into this corner here. Down to third gear, hitting a nice apex, just trying to trail the car through, keep the weight planted before you send yourself flat out through that left-hand kink before slamming onto the brakes for the tight and twisty left-right committed corners of 12 and 13 before you run your way through 14, and of course that runs the line. The 222, a very tidy lap indeed, however only sees him 6th so far in this practice session. Of course we'll head away into our qualifying and then into a 45-minute race, but that seemed like quite a tidy lap, and it's still nearly 0.8 of a second off what Carson Keane can do out in front.
Yeah, absolutely right. It does look like a tidy lap. We'll just sort of work with the pictures at the moment to try to bring that information as detailed as possible, because the little gremlins are kicking in again. I guess they're a little shy here to bring on the start of the season there, Zachary, but don't you worry about it. It's only a practice session. Qualifying will be underway very, very soon. Get that sorted out. Welcome everybody in the chat there. Mod Kinko, of course. Where is Mod? She is not racing here this evening. Any particular reason why you're not racing there, Mod?
Yeah, she did mention at the back end of last season that she might have to take a sidestep for this season. I think due to real world commitments and things which happen. Again, this is pretend race cars, so fundamentally you're better off committing to the real life stuff, and do this as a pastime, do it as a hobby, because that is what we're all here for. Again, it's pretend race cars on a pretend race tracks, but definitely is real racing. Let's talk a little bit about the real racing that we're going to have over the course of this 8-round season. We start things off here at the Twin Ring Motegi on October the 21st. In a week's time, we'll head straight over to the UK. We'll come to my part of the world in Snetterton. Brian, he did it for himself, but he also did it for me. There was like a 10% little bit of I'm thinking of Zach when I'm doing that. As we go to Snetterton, we'll go to Zandvoort and then Detroit Belle Isle to round off the first half of the season before we head away to Silverstone for our second trip in the UK. Road America, the Red Bull Ring and Interlagos will play host to the season finale on the 9th of December on that run up to Christmas. 8 weeks, of course, is per usual in these championships, but a lot of action packed into that, I'm sure. 8 amazing venues around the world. Yeah, I think we've got the perfect ingredients for what could be a mighty season of racing.
And we will definitely have a mighty season of racing ahead of us. And I'm just curious, any particular, just real quick out there, favorites, or anybody thinking about going into the season with these new vehicles under their disposal? They're the right foot, the power, of course, the braking, the acceleration. Zachary, from obviously a fantastic season that we had last time around, anybody you would be putting on your, getting your binoculars out there and focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of talent coming into this one, and we've only been in this session for, 5-ish minutes for the practice session, so there's not really too much that we can read into about favourites. I mean, yes, of course, the transition from Formula 3 to Super Formula might not be massive. Again, fundamentally, though, they are very similar cars in the sense that they're open wheel, they're fast, they're not Formula 1 caliber level, they're a little bit lower than that. But the Super Formula will have its quirks. It's got a new dynamic. It's got the push-to-pass system. It's not got a massive air intake on the side of the car. It's longer, it's slightly sleek, it's got the shark fin. It will be driving differently, and it will be an adjustment for these drivers to make. So, those drivers that are able to adapt quickly to make those changes and settle in, I think, it is going to be important. Right now, I mean, we've got Carson Keane topping the timing sheets in the practice session. He's a driver that's been up there in the championship fight for both of the Formula 3 seasons, but, you know, that's also not count out the up-and-comers. Maybe Payne Crouch, who's joining us for this season. He's an unknown. Could he be stepping his way into the mix? I don't think we can count out Alex Rivera either, because, again, he's a multiple-time race winner. He was one of only 3 drivers, I believe, over the course of last season to actually take a victory. And then the season before that, had he been here more often, could well have challenged Mackenzie Roon to the championship as well. So there are a lot of people that we can't sleep on, a lot of people that can come out on top, but it is all an unknown. So after today, we might well have a better picture of what's going to be going on out on track. We might be able to see who's where, who's got some time that could be extracted a little bit more, the people that have got potential, the people that need some work, and maybe the absolute speed demons that they are. We are now heading our way into a 10-minute qualifying where this is it. Of course, all the practice is done. The season has started, technically, because while we haven't gone lights out for the first race as of yet, this is where it all starts. This is where the pressure is up, because it's no longer a practice session. You no longer have a million resets. You no longer can just get into a new session. You can no longer just reset and get a new car and go again. You haven't got countless upon countless upon countless of laps to fall back on. It's 10 minutes. That's the grid. That's your race for round 1 of this championship. So you have to bring your absolute A game coming into this qualifying session. And track position around the Twin Ring Motegi, I don't know, will it be as important as some other circuits this season? Maybe not. Maybe there will be some overtaking opportunities, but if you can start at the front, you've got a better likelihood of finishing at the front. So yeah, bring it on. I think we are in for an absolute treat, and I for one really cannot wait to to indulge into it. Yeah, 10 minutes of quality.
Yeah,
let's bring it on.
About to can't wait to go on board right now with Anthony, but he's elected to just abandon that hot lap. So we're right aboard, of course, with Daniel, and let's see how the 64 machine, you can see right there on the halo, Daniel's about to perform one of his hopefully fastest qualifying laps there, as you can see on your time there. There it is on your right hand side, how many miles per hour he's doing, clicking it up there, almost 150, 60 and change there. Hot lap guide again, please, Zachary. Let's go.
Right, let's do it again. Dan Whitfield, the man himself, the Whitfield family tree, I'm sure, supporting in full force. He's running his way into turn 11. Of course, I know it's deceiving. There are 2 sets of grids here at the Twin Ring Motegi, but Modelly's Kiko has brought in a good question to the YouTube chat. How are tyres going to hold up around this circuit? It's fast, it's demanding, it's flowing. There's a lot of heavy braking zones in the race. It's going to be a spot of intrigue, even in qualifying. If you cook your tyres too early in the lap, you could well be in trouble, but you've got to drive as close to the limit as you can while still maintaining that. Dan Whitfield soaring at the steering wheel a little bit, but a nice run through turns 1 and 2 as he kept it tidy. Missed the first apex in order to make sure he gets the second. Probably going to have a similar methodology going into turns 3 and 4, holding it tight, running it wide, bringing it tight again before he heads his way on this run towards 5. You're probably looking for the 75-50 mark. It's not the heaviest braking zone in the world, and these super formulas, you press that brake pedal, they are going to stop. So you can brake really late into the corner and still carry some good speed through. Flat out through that kink, 6th gear as they run their way towards the next chicane. A dip down to 4th gear for that rotation, chucking it through the right once more. Down to 3rd, which is a little bit interesting because he did it right on the apex, but potentially needed that rotation in the end. All about being smooth in these single-seater machines. There's no point soaring away at the wheel. It's one committed, decided move, really turning with the brake. You'd be surprised how much the balance of the brake rotates the car, especially through tight and twisty hairpins like turn number 10. That is the most important corner, arguably, on this circuit. There you can see he's dashing his way down the plunge towards turn 11. Again, another corner that you can brake really late on, despite the fact it's downhill, you're going with gravity, and you'd think you'd have to brake early. No, these Super Formula are mega. He's purple to a multitude of sectors. He gets his way through the final corner a little bit tight, could have probably used with a little bit less rotation to maximize his exit speed, but across the line, and what is the benchmark going to be? Dan Whitfield sets a 1 minute 30.9. Let's see how that racks up against the rest of the field.
What a way to come out of the gates, jumping with a fantastic lap there from Daniel. Dan the man is back, of course, and we are back here for the sim racing for simpletons. as Mr. Samuel Marr goes up to P2 there, and they're all getting their first laps in there, Zachary. It's good to see that. Another indication about the push to pass. Now, is that available? How do they use that? And they use that during the qualifying session? And another indication that we can perhaps show on the screen there. Are they using it? How long they're using it for? And is it harvesting the energy?
Yes, so you're not necessarily harvesting energy as such with the push to pass because it's not a hybrid deployment system. It's purely fuel-based. It's purely a fuel mixture, an engine map. If you'd like, for maybe those familiar with the Formula 1 games, back in the day where you could change between lean, standard, and rich, the push to pass is essentially you pushing rich mixes as such. What you're doing is you're adjusting the air-fuel mixture going into the engine. So obviously, for a combustion engine to work, you need air and you need fuel. You need the air because oxygen helps to combust things. You need the oxygen to have a flame. You also need the fuel, and you also need heat. So you get the heat from the spark, you get the fuel from your fuel, and you get the oxygen from the air. If you increase the amount of fuel that you've got, though, you run what we call a richer mix. You tip the scale away from the normal stoichiometric air-fuel mixture of 14.7 to 1 or whatever it is, and you increase more fuel per unit of air, you get a bigger explosion, you get a bigger bang. The bigger the bang you get, the more rotation you have on the crankshaft, which then turns the flywheel, which then turns the gears, which then turns the wheels, and the faster you turn the wheels, the faster the car goes, funnily enough. So the bigger the bang, the bigger the speed that the car has on the dash. So, of course, turning it up, pushing the button, going quicker. It's effective everywhere on the circuit. The acceleration zones, maybe not so much because, again, added torque to the wheels increases your chance of spinning them up. But if you can make it work, you can get amazing drive off a corner. If you can just use it on a straight, again, you'll have a higher top speed. There are so many different ways that you can use it, and it's going to be a spot of intrigue in the race. Again, over the course of the 45 minutes, they get 200 seconds of use, which is about a lap and a third if they were just to hold it all the way down. But obviously, they're not going to do that. They might use it 10 seconds at a time or whatever over the course of the whole race, and that could then sort of be their strategy. Maybe they use it in certain points, maybe they use it exclusively when they need to, which, to be fair, might not be a bad idea considering there is a 100-second cooldown between each use. It's like your favorite power-up in Overwatch or whatever. I don't really know what game has power-ups, but when you use your main thing, I don't know, Apex, when you have your main ability and then
pick up a boost.
Rocket League, yeah, whatever. Yeah. You've got that cooldown, you've got that waiting time before you can use it again. That's essentially what the push to pass limits. So yeah, there you go. The push to pass system, a very new thing for the Super Formula, and well, as it stands, Dan Whitfield is the man. He's improved by half a second or so on his original lap time. He's showing to be pretty decent.
To the Whitfield family out there, what have you been feeding Daniel during the off-season? He is absolutely blisteringly quick. He's got almost half a second. You're looking at about 4/10 there. And he's going quicker and quicker. Look at that. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2. He is, I don't know, whatever it is you're feeding him. If you give him that Vegemite on toast, well, it's working. You'd probably be like, oh my God, I don't want a Vegemite on toast. But let's go on board once again and ride with the number 64 man of Daniel. And it's good to see him top of the timesheets. That's something that's got very impressive to his family and himself into the first race of the season. So far, nobody's even going close to his times.
Not quite, but it might all be in vain. We're getting some word that there are a couple of issues with the sessions on iRacing, so we'll keep you updated, of course, but we're getting told that there might need to be a new qualifying session made, which means it will essentially all go over again. But what it does mean is that Daniel Whitfield basically gets more time to impress. He had that consistent... He's gone even quicker, so save that for the new session, as to be fair, we've got Crouch up there, 10th and a half off. Save that for the new session, boys. I mean, I think they're just out here making a statement, showing who's the one with the biggest sword, if you like, who's the one that's going to be able to take the fight going into the race. Because, yeah, it's a new season, new drivers. They don't really know each other a ton. They need to sort of establish themselves. And Dan Whitfield, as I was saying, is a driver that has been on the up and up and up, constantly improving, constantly finding more pace, and maybe now has found himself at home in these Super Formula machines.
I think so. You're exactly right. It looks like the session will be restarted. Now, it just kind of reminds me of the old F1 game back in the day, having to do that all the time. But thankfully, it doesn't happen too often in iRacing. It's probably one of the reasons why I do apologize that the overlays were not functioning correctly when we started the broadcast. Perhaps that maybe I broke it there, Zach. But either way, we will have to take a little bit of a break, and believe it or not, because we never have any breaks and pauses when we're broadcasting here on the JP Broadcasting Network, that I have an actual intermission screen, believe it or not, because we just go all the time, Zach. So if anything, I think we're just going to have to throw it over there to a JP intro there, and we'll be back in a short while.
Coming down to
Does
the
he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros
Look at the toss! Haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Coming down to
Does
the
he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros
Look at the toss! Haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike. Going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, as we eagerly anticipate the beginning of this new championship. Again, welcome back to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel and welcome to the SR4S Super Formula Championship. It's Season 3, but it's kind of not. It's also Season 1. It's the beginning of a new era. We've moved away from the Formula 3 machines. We're into the Super Formula. Again, still myself, Zach Sweeney, Dean Biggles alongside me in the commentary booth as we await the end of qualifying. It's as if we never left. We've got 2 minutes left of the 10-minute session and we'll be waiting for the gridding process to begin. As it stands, it's Carson Keane leading the way. Dan the man on a mission over the course of the first session. Had a lot to prove and a lot of pressure on his shoulders coming in. At the moment, it's at third. Is he going to be able to do anything in his pursuit of maybe tipping the scales and topping Carson Keane to that top spot? He's got the pace to do it, but a 29.5 is a mightily quick lap time.
And considering the first session that we had, he had a little bit of practice there. So Dan the man's on the power there, on the loud pedal, down the back straightaway. Going up, obviously, to the kink you can see on your track map, that up to the top right-hand side, up to 160, 180 almost miles an hour. I work in the metric system, as most people in the world do, but however, it is displaying it on screen. Kink around here underneath the bridge there. This is tight and twisty, isn't it? It's a roller coaster ride. You've got to get it all perfect because it's all compromising the exit in the corner, and there it is. I have unfortunately cast a coincident poor Daniel on his hot lap.
Yeah, so that is going to spell an end to his session, third at best. Christian Jasper, the new driver for the season, as have a lot of drivers taken to the field. A lot of intrigue in the Super Formula machines, as there naturally will be. It's a new championship, it's a new series, and a new discipline to the iRacing service. Brian Long out there on circuit, of course, the boss man at the top of the whole operation here at the Sim Racing for Simpletons. He's a very passionate man, puts a lot of thought and feeling, and you can tell he cares about what he does, and he just wants everyone out here to have a lot of fun. He crosses the line, of course, might need to spend a little bit more time in the seat, but 8th place, well, now 9th as Andy Yeager tops him and goes to 6th, but yeah, might need a little bit more time in the seat and less time worrying about the league if he wants to succeed in the lead he's made. It's a new season, but we're still going to be digging into Brian Long as much as we can. Because we're brutal and we hate everyone. No, we don't. We're just having a bit of fun. I am. Dean isn't. I'm horrible. You're all going to hate me. Anyway, we're moments away from kickstarting what will be a 45-minute race. And the new season sees Carson Keane take to pole position. He's going to be keen to start this season off well. Alex Rivera joins him on the front row, followed by Dan the Man and Christian Jasper, 3 and 4. Robert Ridgway rounds off the top 5 for Atomic Racing alongside Andy Yeager on row 3. Then comes Zyke and Ma, the new driver, and, well, rounding off the top 4 rows. Brian Long, Ruben Scott, the top 10, with Mike Veer and Damien Horvaten in 11th and 12th place. Beyond that, of course, we've got the likes of 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th, which, of course, do go the way of Anthony Wilburn. The 2 drivers from Luxembourg of Joel Dutton and Guy Kiao. And then we've also got Petter Vedding, the Norwegian driver, rounding off the 8th and final row of this grid. We've got a mix, we've got the advanced, we've got the intermediates, and we've got a bucket load of action coming your way. Biggles. You excited?
Yeah, absolutely excited. I mean, you talk about intermediates. I'm like, intermediate tires? I don't think we have weather just yet there in iRacing. We don't. And out there from Shayla, of course, the lovely, lovely girlfriend of the lovely driver of Daniel's coming. He's wheel disconnected. So can we go back to first qualifying, please? Unfortunately, we can't. But don't you worry about it, my dear. Your man is on the second row there waiting to load in. Carson Keane, of course, is going to be his main contender, and Alex Rivera for the self-entitled Muppets Racing team. I'm excited. You're excited, Zach, of course. I mean, I'm yet to see these machines really go around a track apart from just what we saw in practice and qualifying.
Indeed so. And of course, we're not going to be taken to any rolling starts like we did over the course of season 1. It's going to be the 5 red lights on and underway for racing. Of course, we also now have the opportunity for safety cars and things thanks to the addition of a race control. So they'll be throwing cautions if/when we need them throughout the race, which will be a very interesting thing. Let's see if we're going to need it over the course of 45 minutes. A new season of the Sim Racing for Simpletons. It's a new era as well. For the first time in Season 3, the Twin Ring Motegi hosts the new championship. It's Keane and Rivera with the front row, and we are underway in Super Formula machinery. A tentative start for some, an even better one for others, but a very slow one for Alex Rivera on that short run towards turn number 1 and 2. It's Carson Keane that leads, and already contact. Alex Rivera is sent round. There's carnage in the mid-pack and towards the back end of the field. Multiple drivers involved. A huge incident that sees one of the cars torn to absolute shreds. I think Damien Horvatin is one of them, alongside Petter Vedding potentially as well. But so far, so good for Carson Keane out in front. Dan Whitfield and Christian Jasper, the top 3. Well, could we have really asked for a more hectic start?
Yeah, at that point, you're talking about whether or not we should have a caution come out. That would have to say a caution. You've got a multiple magnitude of cars at the moment there all going in. The nerves are kicking in, of course, there's a new season and new cars, a new championship. And that is exactly the situation. Carson's got away there by quite a gap at the moment down the road there to Dan. So we'll get back at a little bit of a replay there in a second, Zach, because I'm sure that all blinked and you missed it. Well, we did, but luckily we have the advantage of replays.
Thankfully, they are a thing, and we can take a look back. I'm sure a lot of drivers watching this broadcast back might not want to, but we've really got to properly dissect what happened. A slow start for Alex Rivera. You can see that slight little twitch on the rear end means he was a little bit too sharpish putting his power down. Dan Whitfield goes to the outside. Rivera sends it in deep, cold tyres, loops it round, no contact. And then I think Damien Horvatin lost it all on his own. Couple that with the spinning Rivera, and it was carnage, and it shredded multiple cars to absolute pieces. They round off their first lap here. Carson Keane from Dan Whitfield, Christian Jasper, Brian Long and Samuel Marr, the top 5, with them all being able to carve their way through the carnage really nicely. For some, it was a perfect start. For others, not so much. I am, however, surprised that we haven't quite seen a caution yet. Alex Rivera, though, respect to him, no contact sustained in the damage. No damage sustained in the contact, I should say. He's able to continue on. He's fighting his way forward. First up on the list was Guy Kiao. He's inside the top 10, and he's still got 43 minutes of racing to see what he can do.
Down at pit road, it's busy right now. Look at that. They are crunching out those cars. Look at the massive amount of damage that they are there. You've got Andy, Anthony, Ruben, and Peter all in there just punching out gaffer tapes out there at the moment. The teams are running around frantically trying to repair those cars. And they're going to have to sit there for some time there, Zachary. But back to the leader of this race, Carson Keane. Happy to be surviving that first lap incident.
Yeah, well, they just had no part in it, really, and were able to find their way through. So, yeah, fair play to them. Picked their way through the carnage quite nicely, and that's what you have to do. Sometimes, obviously, it is a little bit of luck, being in the right place at the right time. But for some, yeah, they were just able to skillfully read the situation, get themselves out of it, and then continue on. At the moment, match for pace, Carson Keane, Dan Whitfield, 2 drivers that have constantly rivaled each other out on circuit. And, well, I'm sure that's going to continue into Season 3 of this brilliant championship. We follow a fight between Robert Ridgway and Anthony Wilborn here out on circuit. Of course, one of the newer drivers taking to the field. And, well, it's amazing to have him. He's running so far, so good inside the top 10. And in fairness, he's closing in to the advanced driver of Robert Ridgway. Will be hoping to score himself a couple extra points in the overall standings, because let's not forget, Biggles, they don't score points based on their division, they score points based on the overall. So right now, Wilburn's in second in the intermediates, but he's scoring the points for 8th, as opposed to Mike Veer, who's scoring them for 6th. So, while there's only 1 place between them in terms of the divisions, there's 2 places between them in terms of the overall. So, yeah, we're only 3 laps into the new season, but the championship still is there, still going to be looming, still something to think about. And if Wilburn wants to mount a challenge for that, he's got to work his way forwards.
And he's going to be doing it at the moment with the fantastic logo splashed on the side of the car, sporting the colours too of this fantastic league, and he's tucked up on the gearbox there of Mr. Ridgeway. And let's kind of look at, you see that little green icon above the halo there? That's the roll safe. That's your indication, isn't it? As we mentioned about the push to passes and things like that in the Super Formula series, and Anthony is well aware of when he can use it, how he can use it, and a little bit of kilowatts at your disposal. You know about that one, Zachary, because you been studying. Look at that at the moment. It's starting to punch up here. You can see there, Rivera's actually caught the catch a little bit in the background. There's a huge gap there, but look at that. Keen's responded to Mr. Whitfield's, and there's a spin in that, and who was that? That's weird.
Oh, that is a shame. The Canadian, who was doing so well out in front of the intermediate class, now finds himself a little bit further down as Alex Rivera ticks off another driver, the inside of Yul Dutton, and up into 9th place. So showing the importance of not giving up. Still a long way to go in this race, still plenty of positions to be made up, and I'm sure it's one that he's going to be grateful of as the season goes on. Same too should be said for Mike Veer, who you could see it was happening. A small twitch going into that final complex, ran a little bit wide, put him off sequence, and then on that final flick to the right, the car wasn't having it, flipped round and spat him out. He rejoins the race in 8th and now switches the advantage the way of Anthony Wilborn, who is now in 7th place overall and leading the way in the intermediate class as well. Dan Whitfield, Carson Keane though, let's track this progress. A second between the two of them. Let's have a look if there is going to be any push to pass at play, because obviously both of them are going to be wanting to see what this gap can do. Obviously Whitfield is going to want to close it, Keane's going to want to grow it. So let's have a look, because push to pass, I mean Whitfield can use it to close the gap. Keane
Oh, lost you there, partner. There for a second there. We might have lost Zachary. She'll see how that pans out. Mr. Zachary, are you there, sir? Dan's responding big time at the moment, even though the gap is 1.4 seconds. He set the fastest lap, and all of a sudden you're talking about a gap there. What happened? Because Carson Keane has responded. Dan responded for the quickest lap, but that was a 1 second and change, now gone down to 1.4. Quite sure what's happened there. Zachy, are you with us?
I am indeed, yeah, sorry. There's some slight blips going on. There's been some storms in the UK. I think they've been affecting the communication a little bit, but we're all good. Everything is all beautiful and dandy. And as it stands, Dan Whitfield, Carson Keane looking very dandy in this race as it stands. So very much looking forward to obviously seeing how that battle develops and whether or not they'll be able to come to blows out on track. Again, a big thank you to everyone watching along at home. Of course, this is a new championship, a new era for these guys in this championship as well. We've adjusted away from the Formula 3s into the Super Formulas, and we very much thank you all for joining us on the ride as well. If you are enjoying, like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications as well here for JP Broadcasting. It's a pleasure to have you. My name is Zach Sweeney, Dean Biggles alongside me in the commentary booth, and Alex Rivera not waiting around to put that car into gear, and well, he's really not let that early lap spin phase him too much. He's just driving that car as fast as it needs to go.
Yep. Hey, fast as you need to go is the best way to drive a race car, isn't it, at the end of the day? And Keane has just proven that he's going to try to build that gap there to Daniel in P1 and P2. So it's almost a second and change. There's 1.5 is keeping that gap there. We're keeping an eye on Rivera. And all of a sudden, look at that, Samuel Mark coming back into play there. It's because there's a spin up the road there, and that's Brian. Unfortunately, that's the boss man himself. I always feel very, very bad there if I have to switch over to the boss man. He's put so much effort in this league. He was so pumped, wasn't he, Zachary, in the green room earlier going into this, saying, you know, he's seeding, he's put so much work and effort into this, and it's just unfortunate to have a bit of a spin there. But, you know, if anybody's going to have a bit of a giggle about it on the side, it'll be Brian. Yeah,
it will be. He's a great guy. He puts, as I say, a lot of passion, a lot of effort going into these championships. And he's just a nice guy to talk to. You can tell he does it because he enjoys it. And We respect that. He loves his passion for community-based leagues. He likes this one because people enjoy it. People get out on circuit. And you can tell he enjoys the racing as well. There are so many times last season where he was put into a position inside the top 5, inside the top 3. And then we spoke to him after the race and he was like, yeah, I was high on the adrenaline rush. He felt everything. He was so nervous. He wants to do well. And, well, unfortunately, that's not quite going to be the case. Alex Rivera off again in his pursuit for higher places. He's down to, well, falls down to 9th again off the road. And Alex Rivera not really teething his way too well into the Super Formula. I mean, the pace is there. Consistency, however, not so much.
Yeah, and they're getting used to it, of course. It depends how much practice they have. We obviously, they announced it early at the end of last season that they were going to go to this fantastic Super Formula cars. Brian and everybody else is aware of it, which is giving you a little bit of a mix, isn't it? A bit of a different spread of the field there. And Brian's now got to put his head down and recover, which is exactly what he is doing right now. And he's got a little bit of breathing space, of course, with Alex going a little bit too deep into the corner, into the gravel there, but pointing it in the right direction. Let's see how Brian can get along. That's right, Brian Long. Get along with trying to catch up to Mike Weir, the Canadian, running in P7.
Yeah, let's see. Mod saying that Brian didn't last long. Well, yeah, that can be said in this race. And we'll keep it purely in the context of this race as well for Brian Long, as to not demoralise him too much going forwards. But as you can see, the number 12 machine is fighting some good battles. I mean, he's up there with Mike Veer and would for sure like to go a little bit further forward as well. I mean, Modelese Kiko is saying that these cars are very difficult to drive, especially compared to Formula 3. And yeah, it is a big adjustment to make. I don't think that's quite appreciated too much. I mean, you know, you give them to your normal person, not a motorsport fan, you put these two cars in front of them, the Dallara F3 and then into the Super Formula, and they'll sort of say they're both Formula 1 cars, aren't they? So obviously they are both open wheel, they both have that element of simplified downforce, but they are very different cars to drive. A little bit more punchy, I'd imagine, these Super Formula cars are. As we say, the dynamic of push to pass and extra fuel and extra horsepower and extra torque and all this, that and the other going into the car, they are a little bit more squeamish to drive. I'd imagine also quite a lot more in terms of the trail braking side of things as well. It is how I'm picturing these cars as well, because not to say that the Formula 3s aren't like that, but these Super Formula seems to be that a lot of it is done with your left foot. A lot of the rotation is done with it, a lot of balance in the car is done with it, and that is the key to going fast. People think that you need a good right foot in order to go fast. That's not quite the case. That's the case if you want to get up to 200 miles an hour, not the case if you want to have a good lap time. It's all about training the brake, controlling how you slow down, because it's all good getting up to a top speed if you can't bring yourself back down again.
Absolutely right, Zach. And on top of it, like, people always go, you know, there's an optimal line, right, into a corner. If you say, okay, what is the shortest path between, you know, entrance and exit on, you know, by distance into a corner, you go there. But believe it or not, you'll see Formula 1 drivers and professional racing drivers, they do not take the ultimate path into a corner, because that's not, at the end of the day, that's the shortest path, but it's not the ultimate when it comes to a race car. You want to be able to brake as late as possible into a corner and exit the corner as early as possible. So your racing line ultimately will be a little bit different. You won't be always necessarily using the full limits of the track. So you want to be able to get the car out there, point that direction straight, and get on the gas as quickly as possible. Now, if you're obviously on a curve coming out of the corner, that means you're going to be right out there on the chicane, maybe even on the grass, hit that loud pedal, bang, you're around and spinning and making those problems. So you're aware of that there, Zach, and that's something that, you know, I'm learning about in motor racing as well too. So I'm not a motor racer, but you know, the ultimate path. And then on top of that too, Zach, when you get into a dirty over car, that just changes the whole dynamics of ball games, doesn't it? As to where you brake and how you entry and exit the corners.
Yeah, Scott Mansell did a really good video on Driver 61 about alternate lines and driving styles, and also I think he's also done one on Scott Mansell, lovely guy by the way. Had the privilege of working with him on the Formula E Accelerator stuff.
Is that's Nigel Mansell's son, right? No. Okay, wrong Mansell. Sorry, my apologies.
No, wrong Mansell. Is a racing driver,
yeah,
and does have the lap record around Brands Hatch as well, funnily enough. Andy Yeager being overtaken by Scott into turn 11, I believe that is, and coming out of turn 12. So looking very strong in their fight for 12th. But yeah, I did have the privilege of working with Scott Mansell over the course of Formula Accelerate. Very nice guy. Got him an apple for from the canteen. But yeah, had some really good conversations with him. Learned a lot about what goes into his videos and stuff. But we'll get back to obviously the point I'm trying to make about alternate racing lines and things, is that was close.
Wow. And look at that. Dead heat for Keane and Whitfield as well too, for dead tied times. Zachary, down to the 100 thousandths of a second is amazing, but continuing on this battle at the moment there with Jaeger and Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very close. But yeah, in regards to obviously alternate driving lines and things, the geometric, the shortest path through, isn't always the quickest one, because the ideal racing line is the one where you can maximize your speed going in, maximize your speed through, and maximize your speed coming out. And obviously you need to have sort of an average of the three. Sometimes you need to compromise one in order to double another or something. The quickest way is the shortest but quickest way around a corner. Not necessarily the shortest, not necessarily the quickest, but a mixture of the both. And that's why you'll see drivers V off corners, if you will, like into turns 1 and 2. They'll compromise one, go in deeper to one to cut back and get a later apex for 2, for example. So it's all about that balance and that compromise in order to get an overall lap time gained, as Andy Jaeger is just going to send the move on the brakes. You spoke about confidence on the brakes, and Andy Jaeger is not lacking it. He sent the move there to the inside of Scott, found himself through into top place in there, back-to-back and constant battling with each other. Yoel Dutton into the pit lane, however. I think he's had a crash and had to tow potentially.
I think I'm getting and the telemetry information on that one, but yeah, look at that. The car's dinged up on, so we'll have a look at specifically what happened there, because nothing gets past young Wise. There it is, isn't it? Straight out of the exit, under the bridge there. The cameraman can't even get there. In fact, we can't get a cameraman there, but we can obviously see the results as to what happened. That'll take a little bit of repairing at the moment. So them's the brakes, unfortunately. You wish you had a little bit more of those. And continuing in the battle currently at the moment, it's with Anthony and Roberto. Well, actually more is it Roberto up the road, isn't it? On Samuel. And that's Samuel Marr.
Yeah, Samuel Marr, new to this this championship, of course, and straight into the advanced category. A very strong driver. Didn't recognise the flag initially. His flag on the live timing is green with a white leaf in the middle. He's from Macau, which is very interesting. I don't think I've ever commentated on a driver from Macau before. So welcome in, Samuel Marr. Lovely to have you. Robert Ridgway, though, is looking to spoil his day a little bit and demote him down to the back end of the top 5. Robert Ridgway, multiple time top 5, multiple time podium. I think he's also taken a win at some point over the course of his two seasons with us. I'd like 4th place here today as well. He's on the back of Samuel Marr, but as you say, you've got to be clever with your push to pass, with the slipstream, making sure you get the most out of corner exits. That's exactly what Samuel Marr has done, in the sense that he's quick where he needs to be. Over the lap, maybe Ridgway is quicker, but as long as Samuel Marr is quick where he needs to be, then Robert Ridgway won't be able to find a way past.
You are correct, my friend, as I'm trying to get the flag up there, as you mentioned. Macau, that's very interesting that you can see currently at the moment, Samuel. Here is Samuel, and obviously we're well welcoming Samuel to the grid here for this season. Let's see, and doing a pretty good job there for the number 29 machine there. 4 positions gained in this race. So we did see that first incident, no doubt, at the very start of the race, as everybody's getting used to it. Look at that, even sporting the liveries of his country, so good on him. But at the moment, he's probably not too worried about necessarily what we're talking about, but more worried about who's in his rear view mirrors.
Oh yeah, he doesn't really. I think he might be split nationality. You can see the combination of the Portuguese and the Macau flag on his rear wing. You can see on the end plate. So maybe a split nationality for Samuel Marr. Of course, you can only choose one when you jump into iRacing, unless you're from Belgium, the Netherlands, or Luxembourg. Otherwise, you're just grouped as a Benelux driver. I think Guy Kiao and Yoel Dutton sort of bypassed that and just went straight for Luxembourg. But anyway, the 29 machine of Samuel Marr is doing a good job as to keep Robert Ridgway behind. We are approaching 20 minutes through this race. You can see there the extra page on Robert Ridgway's dash. You saw there the green with overtake on. That indicates, sort of funnily enough, the push-to-pass system engaged. So as we say, you get more fuel dumped into the combustion chamber, more fuel sprayed. The fuel injector's working a lot harder to get it in, to make a bigger bang, to make the car go faster. Of course, now he's used it, he's got to wait effectively a lap in 10 seconds before he can then use it again. So it wasn't even worth it, I don't think, on that particular go, because that's the thing, with such a big cooldown and a limited time of 200 seconds over the course of a 45-minute race, you have to be so mindful when you use it because you do not want it to go to waste.
I love it, actually. I'm all for it. We were talking about in the green room earlier, I love how IndyCar uses it. I think Formula One, with the DRS, it's like, the DRS is so powerful. It's just like, it makes like the best drivers look like they're sitting targets, isn't it, with DRS activation, giving them like 17 or so kilometers an hour down the main straightaways that they always generally have the DRS. Push to passes, I think, is more of a strategy game. So you just mentioned you have to use it wisely and choose to use it wisely, and you only have a limited amounts of use of it. And you can also, the drivers can use it to defend. So you can't, when in a DRS activation in Formula 1, you can't just activate the DRS unless you're within a second of the car ahead of you. But with a push to pass, you can use it to defend. Now it comes into that little mind game, that little chess game that occurs between the drivers, and just I just think it just excites things a little bit more. But that's one sport. That's Formula 1's one sport at the moment. We do have this, and as you mentioned, Robert has to choose to use it wisely, as well as Mr. Samuel Mark can choose to use it defensively.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not a push to pass. It's a push to use system. As you can see there, the flash on the halo, that means it's in use. I think when it's stuck on, I think that's when it's being charged. So it's when it's not like a battery being charged, but almost, the cooldown coming down as such. As you can see on the tops of Robert Ridgway and Samuel Maher's car as well. Both of them obviously with the stagnant light, the slow bleed. Actually, no. I think the constant light on, it's always illuminated, is it's ready to go.
There's
the flash is that it's charging,
yep.
And then the fast flash is that it's being used. Yep. So that's how you can tell by the lights on top of the halo, which I like. Again, it's a similar tactic that Formula E use for their attack mode and things. When people are in attack mode, there are lights around the car that come on to tell you that the car is in attack mode. So you don't have to, look at the car, in too much detail. You don't have to analyze or make any guesses or try and look at what page is up on the steering dash. You can just look at the lights on the car and you can say, yeah, that car is going to be going quick for as long as he can push the button for. And right now these two locked in a battle, and well, you have to be careful. Again, sometimes you have a certain amount of uses, sometimes you have a certain amount of time, and both of them work.
Just having a look at the steering wheel, if we can actually see an indication of that being in usage, of course, outside the car. Sorry?
Oh, sorry. Are we having more of those moments? I think so.
Oh, no, maybe just between you and me, my friend, as hopefully you can hear me at the moment. You're struggling in fourth gear at the moment. A little purple indicator over to the left there. I wonder if you can hear me at the moment, Zach. A purple indicator to me indicates that you're at your rev limit, right? On the steering wheel?
Yeah, at the steering wheel. I think it goes, well, usually it goes sort of green, orange, red as such as to when to shift up. But I think purple,
we don't see it, yeah. We've got a cockpit view at the moment. You don't see a little indicator across the top of the steering wheel. Those little LED lights that indicate, like, when you go to your rev limits. Just to the left there, you see, it's a little bit different actually in cockpit view, because this is exactly how the driver is driving. So it looks easy when you're with TCAN and we're actually just viewing these cars from a third-person perspective, but driving it like this is just a different ballgame. We've seen this before in the previous seasons and any of these racing sims and iRacing. This is how difficult it is for the driver. Your visor's also getting grubby and dirty. Look at that, overtake on. So there he's pushed the button there, Zach.
He had done, but how long was he allowed to use it for? I think he pressed it and then turned it off almost immediately. So that might be a bit unfortunate for Ridgway. I think maybe he bailed on it just because he panicked and had to save the car. That's the problem with using it on corner exit, because you're trying to put the power down, but if you send too much torque to the rear wheels, they'll spin, they'll lose traction, and then you'll find yourself in the wall. So you really have to be mindful. Of course, Modely's Kiko came to YouTube chat to say exactly that. You need to be so cautious on the throttle and squeeze it so carefully compared to where you can just smack your foot down to the floor in the Formula 3 and in some other sort of lower category cars. Super Formula, you've got to be really careful because it will spit you out. A lot of horsepower going to those rear wheels, and all of it going to those rear wheels. No four-wheel drive system, anything like that. It's all going straight to those rears. If you light them up, the car's going round. So always having to be mindful of that when you can. And
yeah, and we miss you, Mod, out there. In fact, actually, Zachary, if you are available, if you do have a little bit of a minute, we wouldn't mind pulling you into the casting box at the moment while the race is generally getting through its middle stage at the moment. So, Mod, if you obviously you are welcome here, well, you are already in the Discord, and perhaps Zachary can try to organise that one for your perspective of it. And of course, you're a fantastic racer last season. I'd have to say, wasn't she one of the best, not so much of your qualifying performance, man, but when you got under the racecraft, it was amazing. So by all means, you'll be definitely welcome. We're a fantastic community here. We'd love to hear your views. But first of all, we're going to see about Anthony. This is about a 14th place at the moment, with only one retirement there, Zach.
yeah, of course, Damien Horvath was involved in the first lap crash at turn 1. His car was ripped to shreds, and it's understandable that he wasn't able to take further part in this race. Mod coming to the YouTube chat to say about the purple light on the dash. It's to do with the push to pass. So when it's been deactivated, but of course you still have more.
Oh, Zachary, I lost you again. If you can hear me, just hold off for a second so I can continue that. We're going to let the little communication between myself and Zachary and Japan all catch back up there. Zachary, do you have a copy?
Yes,
All right.
copy.
Go ahead,
Sorry
you
about
repeat that
Yeah,
there again, mate.
Just awkward. I don't know what's been going on, but regardless of which, yeah, basically, when you've used overtake and you've still got time left to use it, it will be purple. When you and then obviously it will flash until it's reset and it can be used again, and then it will be in blue when it's ready to go again. So you can always tell as a driver when it's then going to be ready. If it's flashing at you, it's recharging. If it's like that, exactly like that. Anthony Zajic, he's still in his cooldown. Once it goes blue, he knows he can then press it again and go again. There's no maximum interval, I don't think, for each use.
Oh, look at the exit speed right now. He's going to be on the power.
If you want at a time. And here he goes. Anthony Zajic blasts his way past. Didn't even need the push to pass for that one. But yeah, finds his way into 14th place and up past Yoel Dutton. But yeah, essentially you can use all 200 seconds at once if you'd like. That's not very wise to do it, but you can effectively use it for as long as you want. Just as soon as you let go, you've got to wait a while.
It kind of reminds me back in the day of Formula 1, we used to have the turbocharged era, of course, so they have the turbos that they'll be able to use during the race. And of course, we're watching Robert the Bridgeway at the moment, really hunting down Samuel. He's been on Samuel's case for some time at the moment, and at some point, he's going to be like determining on this one, when do I use this? We're going to probably go cockpit view as well to give you the indication on the steering wheel you just mentioned. Going back to that one, the turbos in Formula 1, well, they could kind of use that as much as they like, but there was a big problem, of course, is that how much fuel you're going to burn during it. They had fuel in Formula 1 back in the days, but you burn through that gasoline, my friend, and then unfortunately in the day you have to either box early or choose wisely. And a lot of those cars actually used to run out of fuel towards the end of the race, so I had to back off big time. So none of that we're going to have here in this fantastic Super Formula Championship, but it's just fuel for thought, isn't it? There you go, fuel for thought. That's where overtake on. Look at that, time left indicated on the steering wheel right now.
Yeah, and they've also got a nice little progress bar to see, so obviously you can tell when you're really in trouble with how it's coming down. 140 seconds left to use. He's used it for quite some time in this particular burst. But I also think Samuel Maher might be using it as well. The advantage definitely is there, forcing the Macau driver to go defensive. The up and under potentially on for Robert Ridgway, but nicely parked from Maher. Robert Ridgway is not any closer to making that move done. And what it has brought is Wilburn into the mix. So Robert Ridgway, the pressure's on.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. So then battling it out, there brings another, and that's just any motorsport, is that? It doesn't matter what category you're in. When drivers are battling up the road, you tend to find somebody creeps in slowly in the distance, and that's exactly what's happening with Mr. Wilburn. We have a little bit of a moment, I think, from Joel. So unfortunately, Joel down P15 and essentially plumped last in this one, has elected to do the same thing, and a few drivers have done there and visit the underpass. But he's okay. But what's happened to Anthony? Oh no. So going back in this situation there, Zachary, it looks like Anthony's made a mistake locking up perhaps into this corner. Oh, just gets out onto the dirty side of the track there, and that's going to turn that fantastic three-way battle back into 2.
Yeah, unfortunately so, but fortunately so, we have got Model E's Kiko joining us in the commentary booth. Of course, a driver that has been around for both seasons so far of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship. She knows her way around some race cars, and well, hopefully coming in here to shed some light into the biggest differences, because me and Biggles, we're plebs. We don't know what we're talking about. Mod kind of does. While she hasn't got an extensive amount of experience in these cars, hopefully she's going to come and tell us what the biggest differences are between the two.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, if you've had a lot of experience in the F3, you come in. Oh, hello everyone, by the way. Yeah, you come into these cars, and there is a familiarity. You know that you can definitely hit the ground running if you've been doing F3. But really, for me, it's in the low speed sections when you're hitting that throttle or making the turn, and it really the downforce is so much stronger. So you have to carry more speed, but at the same time, the car is a lot more dangerous. So yeah, it is tricky stuff to get balance right, and a lot of practice goes into getting that.
And Mod, give us a little bit of indication. We're on board with Robert Ridgway at the moment, and the pictures you can see. Yeah, hopefully you can be enjoying the pictures that I'm seeing live with the halo in there. You've been in this situation before, of course, last season. When do you think Robert can get the job done, and how is this little push to pass and this car going to be able to handle the overtakes?
Oh, I mean, it is such an interesting sort of thought process. You know, when you hit that push to pass, and how are you going to do it? Because you know it's going to be different from each track. You know, you've got 100 seconds between, so you've got to work out where on the track you feel best doing it. So a lot of the time you're going to find people will be doing it.
He's doing it now too, right? Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming out of these sort of slow corners is great, but it's sometimes you just got to take the opportunity when you're close enough or you feel you are. Go for it.
Zachary, is that an overtake done from Robert? I think it is.
He's done it. Finally, took him long enough, and plenty of push to pass used in the process, but finally. But now the problem is, Mod, I'm sure you can agree, for Robert Ridgway, he's now used it. Sam Yamar can now press it again and find his way through. Of course, you can see the blue lights there on his dash. That means he can go again. And Robert Ridgway, his hard work can very easily become undone, because now the advantage swings the way to Sam Yamar. He's got it all to use, but I suppose, yeah, with Robert Ridgway pulling the gap to 8 tenths now, it gets to a point where for Sam Yamar, it's better for him to save it and sort of stay in 5th. But there you go, he's using it, and that's probably why he's being so conservative with it. Already through half of his time used, but to be fair, we've only got a third of the race left to go, so fair enough, he's actually not done too bad in conserving it. But I suppose that conservation is also a big thing, because a lot of these drivers, you know, aren't necessarily used to maybe single seaters full stop, but definitely not the energy side of sort of the single seaters as well. And that is a big adjustment, is to learn when, where, how, and how much of that push to pass to use.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something you just need to get seat time to get used to. If you the Formula 3.5, it had you had a sort of what do you call it, the wing adjustments you could make. So you could have sort of that kind of similar experience. You had limited amounts you could do per race. But yeah, it's a slightly different experience here, and a lot of these drivers aren't going to have done the Formula 1 in iRacing, so this is going to be just a novel experience all around. Of course, a few of these guys would have done officials just to get the feel of exactly when is optimal and how often, and what to do in these battles. I will have to say, by the way, I'm not getting live pictures because I've got a little bit of a stream delay going on. So
you can probably on the Discord channel at the moment. Everybody can sign up to the Discord, of course, here for the Sim Racing for Simpletons, and you may be able to see the live pictures that I'm sharing right now with you and everybody out there, of course, in the fantastic YouTube channel there, bringing the action. Carson Keane leading this race at the moment, comfortably, and I wanted to ask you that one there, Mod, like, they're looking at pit stop territory soon, and how's Carson Keane handling this track? He's got a 6 second change there to Daniel, who's been keeping him honest. However, crunch time coming up soon with pit stops. What would you do as a driver? How are you preparing for that?
So are we doing pit stops this season? There was a bit of going backwards and forwards about it. I'm not sure how it panned out in the end because there's no fuel in these cars, right?
Well, I'd hope there's fuel.
Well, you know what I mean. There's no, you can't refuel these cars. I like Formula One.
Well, if that's the case, then they probably are going to the end. Yeah, maybe we might not have to stop at all. So Carson Keane just going completely flat out. Yeah, that is true actually. With the push to pass and things, do you have to compensate for that with the extra fuel in the car? Do you have to put 200 seconds of more fuel into the car so that you can actually use your push to?
Unfortunately, we might have lost you there for a second
I'm
again.
unable.
Yeah. Oh, look at this, building up a battle at the moment there, Mod. And as well, hopefully we will get Zachary back to give his fantastic commentating. Three-way battle for the Battle of P4.
Yeah, hopefully I'm back now. That would be ideal. I was going to ask, sorry, I got cut off. The push to pass and the fuel loads going into this race, do you have to compensate for that with more fuel?
I honestly, I don't know. I've never done experimentation. I don't think you do. I think it's.
You just have the extra fuel.
I think it. I want to say that it's all fine, but I couldn't tell you. I haven't actually done fuel efficiency tests, and I've only done fixed races in this car. So you just get given the fuel you get given, and it's always more than enough. But that is an interesting question. Hopefully the drivers will be able to illuminate us after the.
Yeah, it would be nice. Of course, before we let you go, thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us.
Yeah,
We'll talk you through the championship at the moment, the schedule. We're here obviously at Motegi. We'll go to Snetterton, Zandvoort, Belle Isle, Silverstone, Road America, the Red Bull Ring, and then Interlagos. I know obviously you're going to be sitting out this season, but which one are you most looking forward to watching?
Belle Isle.
Oh.
No hesitation. I wish I could do it. It is one of my favourite tracks in iRacing. I always do really well, and it's so great to be so close to those walls, and it's such a fun track, and I can't wait to see how these guys handle it.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come and chat with us. Obviously, enjoy your rest season. I hope you do enjoy watching the broadcast from home, and well, hopefully we'll see you back for Super Formula Season 2.
I have one question for you, but before you leave, predictions for the championship winner of the season.
Oh, that is tricky. Looking at Daniel today, it's looking like it might be his. Carson, we don't know what his, he missed quite a few races last season. I don't know what his schedule's like this time, but if it comes down to Carson getting, missing one too many races, I think Daniel might be in for his season.
You heard it live. Thank you very much. Sorry to cut you off that one because look at that. Alex had to react massively. Mod, you've been an absolute champion. We will miss you this season, of course, but we're always welcoming you at the casting booth as well into the chat. So
take care.
You too.
Thank you. And, well, of course, Modelist Kiko. She's awesome. We love her coming in, having a chat with us, and talking about not only her racing but also the other racing as well. You can tell she's passionate. You can tell that she enjoys coming in here to do it. Alex Rivera though has been a very dark horse, fighting his way back to the front. He started on the front row. He got jumped by Dan Whitfield into the line. He spun at turn 1. He's been on a fight back since. Oh goodness me, Alex Rivera. He's had a couple of those throughout the race. Thankfully, I think he's kept it out of the barrier enough to sustain, to not sustain any damage. He stays in 6th, but with only 8 minutes now left to go in this race. Still plenty of opportunity for him to get himself back in.
That's on you, Zachary, for the commentating coincidence.
No, it's
again.
not.
Now let's have a look at
Alex Rivera. No, absolutely not. Alex Rivera, if he wants to come in and have a chat with us, he will tell you that he has driven badly this race, right? He's not driven badly. He's had a great race. He's just had a couple of tweaks in terms of the inconsistencies. It's a coincidence that we have turned the cameras on him when he's had a skill issue. I don't take responsibility for those. That's not my problem. That's not my jurisdiction. I don't have magical voodoo powers. If I did, Carson Keane would spin into the next 3 corners, but he won't. Because guess what? The commentator's curse does not exist. Anyway.
Overtakers on. Here we go. Cockpit view at the moment in Lillegaard. Setting up the inside there. Peter's off the racing line right now. Let's see how he's going to handle that. The Norwegian mastermind, we've seen it last season. He's got the Australian Thunder from down under to deal with. Overtakers on. Turns it off at the moment. Playing with his food, essentially, you'd have to say. Scotty's gone deep, and that will be an overtake.
It is. Nicely done. And picks his way through. Petter Wedding up into 12th place now, at 4 from his initial starting position after not being able to put a lap time in qualifying. Also, we've had Ada's Crouch come in and talk about, obviously, Payne, who was in the initial session but can't quite seem to find his way into this one.
Payne's not in the session, unfortunately. I was about to answer that one, Andy, so thank you very much for your patience. So we're going to get back to that one. I read that chat, just waiting for the right place at the right time to bring that question up there. Unfortunately, it didn't look like he joined the session, so then maybe to get the car ready in time there, Zach.
So whatever happened, obviously we had the adjustments from one session to another. There was a mishap on one that forced us to change, and maybe unfortunately Payne didn't quite get the mode. But
the girlfriend's
I'm sure
asked for Daniel to be shown on the screen. Should we do it there? I mean, do you want me to bring this commentating pass into play? I'm not going to do it to Dan. I'm not.
No, because it's not real. He'll be safe.
All right.
Okay, Shayla.
If I do this and Daniel has a mistake...
Do it.
Then that's it. You're going to be...
Shayla,
I'm going to change the combination on the casting booth.
I will personally reimburse Dan Whitfield of his entry fee if he spins in the next 3 corners. But he won't.
We can't actually at the moment. We'll have to go back to that one. Because Alex is putting a big fight here. Once again, is resuming this situation for P5. And now, look at that. Let's see whether or not... And I do have to go a little bit more cockpit view to give the indication of whether or not they're going to be using that fantastic tools at their disposal, of course. A little bit of kilowatt power. The blinking light, too. There you go. You did your homework there, my friend. You have studied and are studying currently at the moment motorsports and technical aspect. What is that blinking light doing?
Well, yeah, that basically is telling everyone the push to pass problem. Well, maybe it's a problem, maybe it's not a problem, maybe it's a tool for these guys. Of course, the flashing red light on the back of the car usually indicates that they're, well, in Formula 1, it's that it's either a rain light or the fact they're harvesting energy. In the Super Formula, it's the same as them not charging their push to pass because it's fuel based and not hybrid based, but effectively waiting for that cooldown to end. You can see the blue on Alex Rivera. That means it's ready to use. That means it's ready to push and ready to go. And no, we're not firing Zach today, Mod, because I'm right. Okay, I'm not being fired for being right, and I will stay down and I will die on this hill. Shayla, you will track me down, right, and I will give you the $20, 16 quid, whatever it is. But Dan Whitfield, over the course of those 5 corners that we followed him, didn't spin. Therefore, I'm right. Anyway, we don't have Voodoo Powers, and Alex Rivera at the moment is trying to track down Samuel Mark for 5th place. But they're also not a million miles away from Robert Ridgway either, who's about 1.5 seconds up the road. This could well be Alex Rivera fighting for 4th.
Oh, this is a brilliant battle, of course. They've bunched up at the moment as we're getting to the dying stages of this race of 4 minutes and change. Just barely done that one, or quid, or whatever you want to call it. Look at that little bit of lockup. This is the corner that's been troubling those drivers. You've seen it all along. And there's contact, Zachary. There's contact.
Yeah, there is, and that is huge. Wow, that is not the way that car rocked off the assembly line. And, well, maybe going for some low downforce shenanigans. Maybe Modley's Kiko can shed some light onto what would be the advantages and the disadvantage of that one. Very quick down the straight. It's not very stable, though. It looks more like a Formula Ford than anything. Let's have a look as to what happened. Samuel Marr goes from pristine to nothing in the span of a bridge.
They do say, don't they? There's... the bridges are the ones you want to cross, unfortunately for Samuel, and his debut into the racing season here at the Sim Racing for Simpletons, unfortunately, has not worked out. Look at that. That car is not, I mean, no nose cone. Look at that. You're going to get eaten alive, and Anthony's going to be sitting there at the moment. 6 positions gained there for the 16 machine there, and I think Samuel does the right thing and just moves off the racing line, and just unfortunately has to sit there and silently cry in that helmet. About what a great race performance, and unfortunately it's all undone, but not undone for this man, Mr. Carson Keane. Strong out of the gates there for the Valley Motorsports machine, starting on pole and finishing hopefully with Barney waving that flag to take the first victory of the season.
Yeah, we've got two minutes and a bit left to go, so this is the penultimate lap. You can see running through 3 and 4. Mod saying she wouldn't want to turn a corner with no front wing. I don't think the car would either, and that's probably the point. Samuel Marr, you can see, still out on track. Impressive. I'll give him that. I mean, to be fair, the car isn't crabbing drastically. There's no major suspension damage. It is just the fact that that car must be an absolute pain to drive.
It's got no wings. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
It's
no,
gotta take the
now he's
escape
into the pits.
route. Yeah.
A whole lap later, he's into the
Yeah.
pits. Maybe he missed the pit entry or something, but yeah, finally into the pits. And yeah, Samuel was running really well inside the top 5 as such. And well, Carson Keane about to start his final lap of the Twin Ring Motegi circuit.
But before we go there, Dan, well, Dan, I was going to say, sorry, Zach. Before we go there, we're going to go to Dan, and let's see if we can get your little commentating curses at play there. You get your magical spells out there. Do your little dance. Look at that, Daniel's even responding at the moment. It's not the checkered flag, but Dan is a happy man because he's in P2 and definitely improved a lot this season. I'm sure that Shayla out there is very, very happy and proud of her driver in the Brom-esque livery running in P2. Of course, we won't take it from Carson Keane, but sorry, we'll have to switch away and go to Mr. Carson Keane. He's got traffic up the road too, Zach.
He has, and that is a testament to how good of a job he's done. Of course, we are on the final lap of this race. They'll tick over the 45-minute mark before Carson Keane reaches the flag, and therefore will take the checkered this time by. It's a parade lap of sorts for him. He's been on top form today, really kickstarting the Super Formula campaign in the best of fashions. He's got the fastest lap at 1 minute 30.2. He took pole position and is only one of 2 drivers to have not changed a single position this race. Net, of course, Carson Keane and Samuel Marr. Samuel Marr moved forwards, and if it wasn't for that crash, would be another driver, or that obviously gained or changed places, and it would have only been Carson Keane that stayed stationary. But nonetheless, Carson Keane, he's got less than half a lap left to go.
Oh, he's using overtake too, Zach. Why?
He's using all of it.
Just fastest lap? Who has the fastest lap at the moment? I think Daniel has the fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken.
Ian's got it.
Oh, yes, you are correct. Testing if you're paying attention out there.
Yeah, of course. That's fine. No. Yeah, no. Yeah, testing me. Yeah, that's what we'll put it down to. I like it. Yeah, nice one. Anyway, Carson Keane has got a couple more corners left to go. We have ticked over the 45-minute mark. It's a new season, a new era, a new chassis, a new calendar, but the same Carson Keane. He crosses the checkered flag, and he is victorious here at the Twin Ring Motegi for the Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Championship. It's Season 3/Season 1. It's Dan Whitfield that joins him on the podium as well. Christian Jasper will round off the podium again in third.
Oh, Dan takes the fastest lap away on the final lap there. Go ahead, sorry.
And very nicely done to Dan Whitfield. Again, an extra point going his way, so cementing himself potentially in firm contention for this championship. But Jasper, on his debut, a very strong drive. Ridgway and Rivera, the top 5 as well. A great drive from Rivera, despite all the mishaps that went his way. Of course, we'll run you through the final grid order and finishing order, I should say, more accurately as soon as everyone has crossed the line. But not a bad way to start the season.
Yeah, here we go. So the Anthony Wilburn will take that one. 7 positions gained, and right behind the boss himself that puts this fantastic league on. Ryan is actually excited. I would be too as well, too, Brian. Good job there. 2 positions gained. And Samuel, well, he's got back in and out, my friend. So they put a front wing and a rear wing on it. He will lose, actually, no positions, believe it or not. He started with P8. He finishes P8. Just all that work is undone. But at the end of the day, you're inside the top 10. Nothing wrong with that, you have to say.
No, not at all, apart from maybe his car at some point, but they do get a fast repair. He was in, he was out, and he was on his way again to 8th place, which is points, and not bad points either. Of course, it was Anthony Wilborn, by the way, who will get the points for 6th place in overall, and obviously the win in class in 6th. But after 45 minutes of racing, Carson Keane, Dan Whitfield, Christian Jasper, the podium for the first round here at the Twin Ring Motegi. Not round 6 live from Spa-Francorchamps, but it's Robert Ridgway and Alex Rivera that round off the top 5. Then comes Anthony Wilburn, the first intermediate race winner ever in the Sim Racer for Simpletons. Brian Long lasted long. He went all the way to the end of this race in 7th. Samuel Marr, Andy Yeager, Petter Vedding, the top 10. Then comes Ruben Scott, Anthony Zeich, in 11th and 12th, Guy Kiao, Mike Veer and Joel Dutton in 14th and 15th, and of course Damien Horvaten, who didn't even finish the first lap out, and in 16th place as well. We have got Mr. Carson Keane waiting for us in the interview rating room. Mr. Carson Keane, that really couldn't have gone better for you. What a good way to start a new car.
Yeah, that felt pretty good. No complaints.
Yeah, short, simple, love it. Yeah, nice one. I honestly, I respect it. Different car, but you seem to really be bedding quite well into it. Let's talk to us a little bit more about that adjustment from F3 to Super Formula.
Yeah, I'd find this car definitely a little bit more unforgiving, certainly on colder tires, but I really enjoyed the challenge, and it seems like a number of the other guys have definitely picked it up as well. I think it was Daniel in P2, and he was keeping the pressure on. So I think he has some pretty solid pace for the season coming as well. So yeah, definitely look forward to continue racing this thing.
Yeah, let's bring it on. Of course, a clean start, pole position, and away you went. Talking about the future rounds, though, obviously, I'll just quickly remind you of the schedule. We've got Motegi here today, that's in the books. Snetterton, Zandvoort, Belle Isle, Silverstone, Road America, the Red Bull Ring, and then Interlagos to round off the season. Obviously, you said about the championship, you said about race wins and the rest of the season. Which week are you most looking forward to?
Oh, honestly, that's a really tough question. I think Brian has put together a really good schedule. I think there's some good combos of traditional GP tracks versus some newer style. I'm looking forward to Snetterton. I think it'll be really tricky. Silverstone as well, and probably Brazil. So, like I say, it's really tough to pick just one or 2 weeks. So
Yeah, I like how you said Snetterton. Respect. I
nice.
respected you
Thank you.
already. I respected you already. But there we go. We're all good. Welcome to the cult of six fingers here in Norfolk. Obviously, you're Canadian, so you probably won't even get that joke. But it's fine. But yeah,
Oh.
thank you.
It's
Obviously,
true.
for
I don't get it. So
it's
I'm not offended.
Snetterton is in Norfolk, which is the UK equivalent of Alabama. Again,
Gotcha.
you're not from the US, but you get the picture, right?
I understand
Yeah,
now. Yep.
yeah, you get the joke. So that's obviously the backstory of that one. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you over the course of the rest of the season. Of course, get practicing for Snetterton because it's a tough circuit, and hopefully we'll see you back in a week's time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Cheers, Carson. Thank you for joining us, and well done on
Cheeky.
the win.
Cheeky,
Yeah,
cheeky,
well, of course.
cheeky. Welcome along. Yeah. All right.
Also, in the meantime, we've had a vast amount of people. We'll grab in Christian Jasper actually into the booth because he's a new driver. He's someone we haven't had the privilege of speaking to. Christian, welcome in. Nice to meet you first and foremost. Well done on the podium.
Hey, thank you. That was a lot of fun. It might have been spread out, but that was pretty intense from start to finish. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, tough cars, this Super Formula.
Yeah, it's easy to just kind of sit down and get into it and just drive, but to really try to extract everything out of it, you got to be on it. Keeping that relative up, it keeps you honest. You really got to be on your P's and Q's because if you're not, someone's going to capitalize it. 8 seconds might seem like a lot on track if everyone's on it, but even just the slightest mistake that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, it looked to be the case. A lot of small mistakes and things, but a good challenge, I suppose, for some. Obviously, you weren't here over the course of the first 2 seasons of Formula 3, so I suppose maybe you've got a bit of an advantage. I'm not entirely sure on your sort of the background before you jumped into Super Formula competitively, but the other guys on circuit, they obviously were driving the Formula 3 before in a competitive environment, then had to jump to the Super Formula. You've not quite had to make that same adjustment. So maybe you're finding yourself bedding in potentially a little bit better than those around you?
Probably. I know a couple of names in the field and they mopped the floor with me in the F3. So I was definitely keeping an eye on them. But I kind of came here after having a bit of a home in the car that shall not be named. They have a 500-mile race every year, every so often, somewhere in Indiana.
That one.
Yeah.
The US Open Wheel.
Yeah. US Open Wheel. What is it? C? B?
Something like
somewhere
that.
around there. But yeah, I had a home in that car for a little bit. So I don't want to say it was an easy transition because it's still a different car. It's still a pretty different beast. But, being able to come to grips with more power, more downforce, it felt like I guess a little bit of an easier transition because I personally feel like I don't even know how to drive the F3.
And I suppose you're also familiar with the push to pass dynamic of racing as well, something that the other guys wouldn't have had in that F3. Your experience with the American open wheel side of things sort of allows you to maybe have an advantage with when, how, where to use the extra power?
Yes and no, because with the US Open Wheel, you have refueling, so you have to really play it out, and you're limited to just 10 times, regardless of how long you use it. It's still the same allotted time in total, but the difference is that you can just push the button and it stays on in this car. It doesn't turn off until you push that button again. So you play it a little bit more as a probably more as an attack or as a defense. The cooldown is definitely new, so that's definitely something to get used to. Overall, I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of similarities between the two cars, but at the same time, there's still a lot of differences between them that I still feel like I have a lot to catch up on with this car. Having fun with it though. I'm loving every minute of it.
Seems it for sure. Well, thank you for joining us, Christian. Before we let you go, is there any shout outs you want to be giving to the YouTube chat?
Yeah, sure. Shout out to all my buddies who are watching. I sent them the YouTube link. Huge thank you to Infamous for letting me run as a title sponsor, and thanks to Destino Motorsports for bringing me on.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting to us. Best of luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll see you back in a week's time.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Take care. See you soon. Christian Jasper, third place in this race. Next up, we'll have a chat with Petter Vedding, who might have wanted a little bit more out of this race. 10th place in the end, though. And despite the fact it's a new season and difficult circumstances, a top 10, definitely not a bad result.
Yeah, no, I actually should have been a little bit better because I didn't get the note that we changed servers, so I qualified P8 in the other session. And then I saw later on that we were switched to another session, so I didn't even get to qualify. And then two cars kind of blocked the way in turn one there. So, well, not a lot I could do about that. So I had to start with like a 3-minute delay.
But you still came through. You finished 10th, so, not bad. Good job.
No, okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
It's all right. Well, you got the rest of the season to look forward to. Speaking of, which one are you looking forward to most of the 8 or 7?
Probably Zandvoort. I think that's a really cool track.
Nice.
Especially this new scan. This new scan is really cool. So really looking forward to that. Yeah. Hopefully there will be no confusion or lap 1 incidents next time.
No local Norwegian tracks or snow.
No, there's like one Norwegian track in the whole of iRacing, I think.
Yeah. So, to be fair, Rodskogen might not be the worst track to go to in Super Formulas. It would be interesting to see. Hang on, no, that is Norwegian. It's not Danish. I'm right. Yeah,
come on.
It's Skogen, yeah.
You got
that's right.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, I know what I'm talking about. It's fine. I pay attention. I can do my job. Thank you. Well, yeah. Thank you for joining us, Petter. Of course, I'm sure you'll be looking forward to Zandvoort in a couple of weeks' time. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to be given to start off the new season?
Yeah, shout out to Brian for putting everything together. Even though I didn't have the best start, I think this is going to be a really exciting, really fun season. So shout out to the boss who makes it all happen.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Take care, and we'll see you back in a week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye.
Awesome. Take care, Petter. Petter Vedding, 10th place in this race. We've got a couple more to flick through. Let's go to Anthony Wilborn, who is another driver that's new to the championship. He's kickstarted things off really nicely in the Super Formula. Anthony, welcome in. Nice to meet you, of course. 6th place overall and the intermediate win. Not a bad way to start your campaign in the SR4S.
I didn't know that. That's yeah, it felt good overall. There was a spin right there in the middle, and I think I was chasing P4 and P3, and they'd been behind each other for a good 10 laps, and I just couldn't. It was giving me a lot of anxiety figuring out how to make room there.
I might show that on the stream for you there, Anthony. You can check out a little bit later too, as you were catching that pack, of course, there of Alex. And yeah, just I'm not sure you don't see the pictures live, but that's just a snap, isn't it, on the eggs of the chicane?
Yeah, I think I was in, I forget the name of it, but I think I was using the overpower to try and catch up. And it just, on this track, you feel like there are a couple of spots where you can make pretty good moves. And it was down into that next corner that I thought I might be able to do something. And I think I was just getting a little overexcited about it.
Yeah, well, can easily happen, especially in these Super Formulas. But well done, obviously, on your result. Welcome to the championship. Speaking of, again, it's a question we've asked everyone so far. Which round are you looking forward to most over the course of the next 7 weeks?
That's a good question. I really like this track, but I don't know anything about the next track, and I love learning a new track. So, to be honest, regardless of the races that are coming up, I'm looking forward to next week. Just because getting on a new track is a lot of fun.
Good, Snetton, you'll like it. Welcome to Norfolk. It's very flat, but a great track in the form of Snetton. So obviously, best of luck. As it stands, you'll be leading the intermediate championship, 6th in the overall, and well, best of luck for the rest of the season. Thank you for chatting to us. Before we let you go, of course, any shout outs you want to give?
Sure, I'll give a shout out to Mary, who I think was watching. So thanks for that. Thanks for the support.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking to us. Take care, and hopefully we'll see you back in a week's time.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Awesome. Take care, Anthony. 6th place overall and the winner of the intermediate class. Next up, let's go to Alex Rivera, who's had an up and down, a wishy-washy race, a good qualifying, a bad start, a better recovery, and then a setback, then a good recovery, then a setback, and all in all, you rounded off the race inside the top 5. So a roller coaster of emotions for you, Alex.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That's one I'll remember some moments for, but I think the majority I just want to forget. It's certainly just a tricky car to get under hands. And man, that spin in lap 1, turn 1 was just my mistake. It just feels like ice.
Yeah, well, cold tires, I suppose. It did look like that. You were just trying to send the move and then realised you didn't have a lot of grip to play with. There we go. We'll take a look at it just to really embarrass you. Initially, it was a really slow start, a bit of a twitch on the rear end. And then, obviously, Whitfield got to your left-hand side. Then you broke into turn 1. And then the car just was like, nah, mate, sorry. And then you just you went round, which is a shame. But then you got in tune with the car a little bit. Obviously, a little bit of a couple of quirks to abide by, but the raw pace, it's there.
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty happy with it. I don't know if you can see in here, but I had front wing damage, basically from one of the incidents here, all the way throughout the race. So struggling with front grip a little bit the entire time through, and I don't know, I was happy with the pace I was able to put up with a little bit of front damage anyways. But yeah, that was one of the first starts I've ever done in this car, and I just need more experience. Like that cold tires really caught me out. So
Yeah. Well, we've got the rest of the season for you to learn, for you to look forward to. Speaking of, which round are you looking forward to most?
ooh, to be honest, I was really looking forward to this round. I've had some very good drives in F3 around this track, so I was hoping it was going to go a little bit better, but
It didn't,
I
so
don't know. Yeah, I know it didn't. But I apparently I learned Snetterton's up next, and I've never
yeah,
driven that track, but I've seen it been driven, and I absolutely love the way it looks.
good. It's great. It's not entirely flat. There's a little bit. We've got the bomb hole. We go through Coram, the final long right-hander that leads you into Murray's. That's also got a slight downhill. But it's a lot of fun. You'll have some fun. I think it's going to be an interesting race. Obviously, the longest straight in the UK as well, which I'm sure you'll love for your push to pass and things. But Alex, before we let you go, thank you for chatting to us. Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to you guys. It's great to be talking to you guys, and then Brian, especially in the off season, he's done a ton of work to make this league what it is with the live stewarding and race reviews, and you guys do excellent broadcasting. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you back in a week's time.
Yep, I'll catch you all later.
Awesome. Cheers, Alex. And finally, we got ourselves to Dan the Man, Daniel Whitfield, in the commentary booth with us as well, or not. He's gone. That's interesting. All right, maybe not then. Are we still not allowed to talk to him? Maybe Shayla's banned him from chatting to us in case we curse him for next week if for talking to him. That's all right. Well, maybe we won't.
Jack?
Is he? Okay. Well, I'll track him in. Daniel, are you...
Hello.
Hello. Awesome. Right. Okay. That's fine. You disappeared for a second. I thought for a second maybe Shayla had told you can't talk to us in case we cursed you or something. But no, not a bad way to start your Super Formula campaign.
No, so much better than last season. I love this car. I've Hello.
Hello. Sorry. Yeah, we've had a brief moment. I don't know if it's affecting you as well. It might just be a Discord thing.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but we're fine. But yeah, it seems to be quite a strange adjustment. Obviously, we're speaking to Carson and things about the adjustment from Formula 3 to Super Formula. Is it an adjustment that you found easy to transition between?
Oh yeah, yes. So yeah. It was like in the F3 I was on edge constantly, and in this one, I just feel super comfortable here. I just feel in this car, it's just, I don't know, like it's just my car, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Compared to the others, I love it.
Well, it's working for you. Second place to kickstart the season. The pace was there. Obviously, that initial qualifying went better than the second, but you still made the most of it. And going forward, obviously, I think there's still a lot of potential in terms of the championship. Speaking of, I mean, you feel at home with this car. Is there any particular circuit that you're feeling at home at as well? Which one's the one you're looking forward to most?
Zandvoort and Silverstone.
Nice.
Zandvoort and Silverstone, definitely. Like Snetterton, I've tried a few laps around there, and at the moment I've just got no flow there. But that will come this week when I start practicing there properly. I expect you're looking forward to Snetterton, aren't you?
Of course, absolutely. I'm glad you're aware. I like it. Been watching the broadcast. It's nice. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait. Very much looking forward to it. Yeah. So bring on next week. I'm sure you'll be fine. Just practice, just get good, and you'll be perfect. We won't curse you in the commentary booth because we can't do that. We don't have magic voodoo powers. You'll have your amazing cheerleader in the YouTube chat as well, I'm sure. And
honestly,
maybe
thanks so much to my family for always supporting me. They're great, and I'd also shout out to Mod as well. Like I wish she was racing, but I can't wait to see her back in a couple of seasons' time because I missed that little rivalry we had.
Nice. I'm glad. I was about to ask you who you'd want to shout out. Of course, it's your family, and of course, it's Mod. But thank you for joining us, Daniel. We'll let you get on to celebrate in second place, and we'll see you back in a week's time.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Awesome. Cheers. He's finished second. Good way to kickstart the season, and overall a good way to start the Super Formula era of the sim racing for Simpletons.
Oh, it's support he has as well too. Carson came out of the gate there and delivered the result there for the Canadian driver, getting it done. And it's positive, and you always want to have that first race victory under your belt going into a new season. Of course, Daniel has the whole family. Thankfully, he did thank his family, didn't he? Because otherwise, he might be sleeping in the garage there in the backyard. But we're loving the fans at there. Mod, of course, we're loving her coming in here and giving us a little bit of inside feedback during the race, as well as all the other drivers, and of course, the fantastic job that Brian brings on, and a great delivery from the man as well too. 7th place, getting it done, 2 positions gain. So Zachary, I think long interviews, of course, everybody's very excited to talk to us. That's a good thing, isn't it? Because they're all humped and pumped and excited for the Super Formula Championship.
Yeah, we were eagerly anticipating it as well. I couldn't wait to kick things off for the Sim Racing for Simpletons. My Saturdays felt just so bare without them, and it's been great to be back. We'll be back, of course, over the course of the next 7 weeks, where we battle our way around the globe. Snetterton in a week's time before we head to Zandvoort, Detroit, Belle Isle, Silverstone, Road America, the Red Bull Ring, and Interlagos on the 9th of December. We continue our voyage in a week's time at 8 p.m. for those in the UK. Translate that to wherever you are around the world, because it's not something you're not going to want to miss. My name has been Zach Sweeney. Of course, I've had Dean Biggles alongside me in the commentary booth. We've had an amazing array of people coming along and cheering in the YouTube chat. Thank you, of course, for watching along. Like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. In the meantime, it's been the Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula Championship Season 3, Round 1 here at the Twin Ring Motegi. A week's time we'll be in Silverstone. In the meantime, take care and a very warm goodbye.